Pronunciation Pro.
Pronunciation Pro.
Okay, so the TED Talk I have here is Brene Brown. We talked a little bit about her last week, but I love Brene Brown and all the things that she writes and says and does. But one thing I was going to give you as a suggestion, all of you, is on Netflix. If you have access to Netflix, she has basically kind of a speech or something called The Call to Courage. And it is excellent. She does such a great job in that presentation. And so I highly recommend that. All right, Nana, let's go ahead here. You can start with the first paragraph. This is Brene Brown, The Power of Vulnerability. Which vulnerability is quite the mouthful. So if you want to practice that word, go ahead and do that. So let's say that one.
The power of vulnerability.
Vulnerability. So I'm actually going to write this out because when it's written out, you realize some of the sounds don't even need to be there.
Vulnerability.
Vulnerability. So this is kind of vulnerability.
Vulnerability.
Yeah, there you go.
Vulnerability.
Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, so you realize there are a few things at play here. Vulnera, that got reduced to vulnera. And then ability, you see that the T becomes a D because it's surrounded by vowels. So that got shifted. Okay.
Yeah, the power of vulnerability.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, go ahead.
So I'll start with this. A couple years ago, an event planner called me because I was going to do a speaking event. And she called and she said, I'm really struggling with how to write about you on the little flyer. And I thought, well, what's the struggle? And she said, well, I saw you speak and I'm going to call you a researcher, I think, but I'm afraid if I call you a researcher, no one will come because they'll think you're boring and irrelevant.
Okay. All right, we're going to just go through that one paragraph because that's what I love. I love, if you've worked with me, you know that I love repetition. It's the more that we massage a paragraph, the more it comes to life and the more we're able to get more precise with it, okay? A couple of things. Researcher, first syllable stress, researcher.
Okay, researcher.
And then we want to make those ooh, remember the U's at the ends a little bit longer. You did a great job on this you, call you a researcher, and this one I wanted a little bit longer, okay?
I saw you speak.
I saw you speak, so the pattern is going to be I saw you speak.
Okay, I saw you speak.
There you go, perfect. Okay, so I'm going to have you go through it again. Some of the nerves are probably out, a little bit more. And you'll have a little bit more of that fluency come in the second time.
So I'll start with this. A couple years ago, an event planner called me because I was going to do a speaking event. And she called and she said, I'm really struggling with how to write about you and on the little flyer. And I thought, wow, what's the struggle? And
here, I'm going to stop you. I want you to go slower for the rest of it, okay? Well, what's the struggle? Kind of hang on it a little bit more.
Well, what's the struggle? And she said, well, I saw you speak and I'm going to call you a researcher. I think, but I'm afraid if I call you a researcher, no one will come because they'll think you are boring and irrelevant.
Much, much better, okay? And especially much better once you kind of slowed it down. Okay, the wonderful thing about slowing down is you get the rhythm really starts coming in and the stress and unstressed pattern of American English really starts setting in. And all you did was slow down because you know the pattern, you know kind of where to hang and what words and sounds to hang on. And because you kind of slow down, it gives you time to hang on those words. in those syllables. Okay.
Mhm,
So what
yeah.
I want you to do is, when you're reading out loud, again, go through it once, just kind of get a feel for it, go through it again and slow it down and really get the feel of it, because you have it in you. You've been doing a lot of practice and things. You just have to slow it down to make sure that your mouth and your mind can kind of keep up with all the things that need to be adjusted. But because of the practice and repetition you've been doing, Nana, it's all going to come together without you having to specifically think about each exact detail. That's the brilliance of the brain, is that it, you do the repetition, you get through the sounds and really dissecting the sounds. And then when you get to the stage that you're at, where you're just trying to get it to come together, slowing down makes a huge difference, and just really listening to yourself makes a huge difference. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, you got this. Good job, Nana.
Your voice is important and needs to be heard. If you're ready to speak English clearly and with greater confidence, I invite you to start your free 7-day trial at pronunciationpro.com.